Good evening, welcome to the Fantasy Wildcard. I'm your host, Kev. You can follow me on Twitter at dynasty_goat. With me tonight, there's just one goat with us. It's Matt, who you can follow on Twitter at MattFFDynasty. Good evening, Matt. How are you?
Evening, Kev. Yeah, doing pretty well, thank you. Like we were just talking about pre-show, it's quite warm into over in the UK for a change, so been getting a little bit hot under the collar at work, but been looking forward to this show today. I know it's always an exciting one talking about these sleepers, these under the radar guys that don't really get talked about much in terms of fantasy. So yeah, looking forward to today's show.
Indeed, and obviously it's just us two tonight, the best two out of Fantasy Wildcard, if I say so myself. Ali's not with us tonight. He's, I think, is he a bowls tournament or something?
I think game? So. Yeah, I think you mentioned. Yeah, although I think there's might be another reason why he's not turned up. Kev, maybe something this weekend that he didn't quite enjoy. Couldn't face seeing you today. So
I'm not sure what that is. Maybe the audience can maybe quote tweet the show and let Ali know exactly what it is. But yeah, we have got an amazing show today. We've got a great show where we are going to be sort of recapping the rookie drafts, the deep dive side of it. But before we get into that, I'll let you share with the audience the last update before our charity streamathon.
That's it, the charity streamathon this Saturday the 21st of May. As you know now, we've mentioned it plenty of times, 16 hours of Dynasty talk. It's going to be a lot of fun, and obviously doing it for a great cause in raising money for Mind Charity, to provide some support and help for a mental health charity that's quite dear to all his hearts. Like we talk about everything that's going on in the world right now and over the last couple of years, something that we're keen to help, like we did last year. Doing the streamathon back for the second time this year, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. People, if you can donate, please do go onto his Twitter page. On there you can go onto the link tree at Fantasy Wildcard and donate if you can. Obviously we understand it's tough times at the minute, but at the same time it's always nice to help out where you can. So please do donate if you can, and we look forward to seeing you Saturday.
Indeed, and just echo what you said, that it's a fantastic cause. It's an amazing event. It's an amazing day. We're actually going to be keeping the donations page open till a little bit after the streamathon as well. So if you're late catching these podcasts or sort of watching the streamathon after it's been recorded, you've got until June the 6th to put any donations in, and everything does count. I think we're just below 30% at the moment, which it's great what we've raised so far, but obviously we want to bump that up and really give a really nice amount of money to help with Mind Charity. And then the other thing is the streamathon itself is going to be coming out in podcast version for every guest. Every show we've got on those 16 hours is going to come out as a podcast in June. So it'll be an additional 4 shows a week. It's going to be covering every NFL team from a nice point of view. And like we've mentioned before, the guests we've got on, they're amazing. You probably won't even know that we're there because of that. So yeah, some unbelievable guests. I hope you're ready for it. It's going to be an action-packed June podcast-wise, but we've got the hard work to do in a couple of days' time. So
yeah, I'm not sure I'm ready for it, to be honest. I need to stock up on some coffees to keep me going.
Yeah, it's a grueler. We finished. We were the last two on last year. We finished 2 a.m. our time. So yeah, I think we're ready for his bed after a long day. But yeah, like we alluded to earlier on in the show, we'll be completing a rookie deep dive on today's show. We'll be discussing every rookie ranked between round 2 and round 5 at Keep Trade Cut. Because we're talking about 48 players on today's show, it's going to be pretty rapid fire. And we'll do his best to remember where players were drafted to what team, what round, etc. Because it can get a little bit muddy through all the rookie drafts and all the information that's come down. So we're going to kick off in round 2. We've covered round 1 in plenty of our previous shows. So round 2 is where we're going to start at the 201. And who have we got, Matt?
Yeah, it's currently James Cook, the running back for the Buffalo Bills. And this is a really interesting one because I don't know about yourself, Kev, but in a lot of the rookie drafts I'm in, he seems to be creeping into that late first. To be honest, I'm not there personally. I know you were quite high in pre-draft, or you at least bumped him up just for the NFL draft, and I think you had him RB3, didn't you? So, I mean, the landing spot on paper, it looks great. Obviously, we know the Bills are struggling for a run game. Really, Devin Singletary looks good in the opportunities that he's had, but now James Cook coming over there, My just concerns are obviously over at George. I think the most rush attempts he had in a game was 12 in a game. That's just a concern in terms of running the ball, but we know he's a great pass catcher. We know that Buffalo Bills were looking for a pass catcher, trying to get JD McKissick there. Obviously that fell through. So it looks like they were looking for a certain kind of player. Hopefully they've got it in James Cook, but even still at this point in the 201, I still feel like it's a touch too early for me. There's a couple of guys later on that we're going to talk about that I'll probably take over James Cook myself.
Yeah, James Cook is a really interesting guy. The fact I got that intel late on before the draft that was going to go early, and I put him up to running back 3. I'm the highest out of us 3. I think you've got him at running back 4. Ali's got him at running back 5. Ali actually took him at 110, I think, in a league where he wanted 1 share of James Cook based on his surname. But I think if you take him in round 1, don't. 201, that's still a little bit early for me, but I can understand if you're desperate for a running back, you can throw a dart here. But yeah, after the first 2 running backs, I think it is a bit of a landmine. And if you've got him in a tier with other guys and he's at the top of your tier, he's probably not the right guy to go for. So yeah, it brings on nicely to the next guy. 202 is Rachaad White of the Bucks. Really liked Rachaad White. He was sort of top 5 for me all the way through, and just that's where he's finished post-draft after landing with the Bucks. A lot of people are saying that he's going to be taking work from Fournette year 1. I'm not too sure about that, but I think it's a good enough landing spot. Obviously, Rojo's out of town. Gio Bernard's still there, but if he's good enough, surely he can siphon some touches from him. So it's more of a long-term investment for me. I don't think he's going to be relevant year 1, but I do like the fact that he's a day 2 guy on a team that's, even with or without Brady, it's going to have Mike Evans, Godwin, Russell Gage Lowell. So I think Rachaad White, I see him going quite a bit later than James Cook, and I think they should be considered pretty similar type prospects.
No, fully agree. To be honest, I'd have Rachaad White over James Cook myself. I've got him over him in my rankings. Like you said, I think with both of these guys as potential that they're going to see touches early. But like you said, obviously Leonard Fournette re-signing with the Bucks kind of makes you feel that he's not going to get much looks in terms of the running game. But like we spoke about with James Cook, Rachaad White's a guy that we know can perform between the tackles. He's seen more touches in terms of running the ball, and then in terms of receiving, he's probably the best receiving back out of this class, just looking back at 2021 college stats. So for me, Rachaad White's a guy that I'd take over James Cook. I quite like the landing spot, got that day 2 draft capital. Obviously, there's the sticky situation of Leonard Fournette, but I still do think he's going to see some looks. I mean, for years we spoke about Tom Brady throwing it to his running back White. I feel like he's got his new White. He's got his new White in Tampa, and I'm quite excited to see how it plays out. A guy that I think is probably one of my top players that I've targeted in my rookie draft so far. So hopefully he can get a little bit of production year 1 and expand on that moving forward. And then we're going to move on to 203. Damian Pierce. This is a guy that Ali is obviously super high. I think he's the one. Has he got him RB3? I think in his rankings. I think we talk about running backs going at the end of the first. This is the one that Ali will be targeting at the end of the first round. Obviously going to the Texans, and I can understand why the situation on paper again. It looks interesting. He's not got much in terms of competition over there. Marlon Mack being the one that you'd expect to be the lead back, and then there's Rex Burkhead as well. So there's a potential opportunity for early production for Damian Pierce. Quite liked him as a prospect over at Florida Gators, but I just worry about that round 4 draft capital. I mean, I've been burnt, and we keep talking about Michael Carter, and I can't do it again, Kev. So this is another round 4 running back. I'm avoiding the heartache, and while the situation looks good at the minute, anything can change, can't it, up until even week 1 of this year, but then moving forward to next year. Anything can happen at the running back position.
Yeah, we're on the same page. I think he's been jumping up board because of his landing spot and his opportunity that he's seen, and that's burnt a lot of people in the past. Thinking about Trey Sermon, thinking about Keyshawn Vaughn, they're the 2 that stand out for me as guys that you thought were getting that heavy workload, but it didn't work out, sort of thing. Totally agree with your day 3 draft capital. Even if he smashes this season, he's going to be under threat, as you mentioned with Michael Carter. But he's a day free guy. He's potentially 2 down running back on a bad team. So I do struggle to think what could if he had his best season possible, what would it be? And would you be able to pivot from that and get anything better than a 23 second? And the answer's no, really. So
I think if you're taking him at that spot, aren't you opening it early and you can move off him as quick as possible, I think, because otherwise you could be holding the bag, I think, as the kids say.
Holding the bag, I love it. That's a cool kid phrase, that. And our next guy, he's a cool kid as well, 204. We've got Malik Willis, QB of the Titans. He went a lot lower than we expected. He's going 204 in ADP. He was consensus 101, 102 early on in the process, and then faded when he got that day free draft capital. Landing spot's not too bad actually behind Tonnell. I think he's got question marks, but again, betting on a day free QB is probably not a good thing to do. Not many of these hit. People talk about outliers like Tom Brady, Dak, etc. But it could be bloody, I don't know, some
Drew
rubbish dude. Well, nah, just like some absolute trash can, like Jamie Newman or something like that. But horrible. But yeah, I think if you're in a massive rebuild, I could see taking late second a push, but yeah, not for me.
Yeah, I feel like the ADP is maybe just a touch too high at 204. But like you said, we know the fantasy upside that he's got. I mean, this is a quarterback that we're generational, apparently, when it came from what some guys are saying on Twitter.
Nice,
so the fact that he fell to round 3, yeah, it was a big. Even the fact that he fell to round 3, I think, was the big surprise. We thought when he were looking at early day 2, round 2, we thought he's got to go this round and didn't. But yeah, shocked that he fell to round 3. Again, fantasy upsides there, and situation's not bad. Maybe looking into next year, potentially being the starter, but got a lot of work to do to become the starter. And again, moving on from them, we don't know. They can change quarterback position quite easily. So
yeah.
And then 205, Desmond Ridder, sticking with the quarterbacks. Obviously going to the Falcons, another round 3 quarterback. This is the guy that me and you quite like, Kev, Desmond Ridder. Again, another quarterback that's got that upside. In terms of landing spot, again, it could be an interesting one. Think he could potentially contend to be the starter a lot quicker than Malik Willis, obviously competing with your favourite quarterback, Marcus Mariota. We could see Desmond Ridder be the starter at some point this year, and when that happens, we know what happens to the values of these quarterbacks. It's going to jump. We've seen it with guys like Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, definitely an interesting spot to land in. A guy that's got that fantasy upside and shown he can be a leader with Cincinnati. So, yeah, quite like him around this spot. It's not too bad. I've got him above Malik Willis. So, yeah, 205. I could probably go for him there.
Yeah, I think he's got the best shot to start year 1. Obviously, Mariota's not on a massive deal. I think he's not going to be on a huge leash either. So you can tell yourself a story where Ridder's going to be the man. And I think taking Ridder here, yeah, I kind of get it. It's maybe a little bit early for me, but you're hoping for like a Davis Mills type story where it hits and then actually Atlanta's in a bigger rebuild than you think, and he gets to play again next season as well. But if he's a starter and he shines, which is what we thought it would be based on his profile, then yeah, you should be able to move off him for a first, maybe not a 23 first, but maybe a 24 first. Next guy, we've got David Bell, 206. You're a big fan, Matt. I think you've got him higher than 206. He did drop for me a little bit just based on pre-draft about his athleticism, but it is a great landing spot with the Browns. It's an open sort of wide receiver room. Amari Cooper's terrible in the cold. Deshaun Watson's come along. He's in that range where I do like him. There's a few guys below him in this where I would prefer them just based on sort of the draft capital side of things, but he's definitely worth a shot in at some point in round 2, wherever you've got him.
Yeah, I think if you listen to his last show when we had Kevin Coleman on, you know that I like David Bell. I had him right up there. I took him at the 112. I personally got him at the 111 in my ranking. So, yeah, I'm happy to take a shot on him. Love that early production that he had at Purdue. The situation he lands in, I'm a bit disappointed they fell to round 3, but landing with the Browns, Deshaun Watson, when he becomes a starter, you feel like there's opportunity there, and I'm happy to overlook the athleticism. I think we kind of knew that was his game anyway. It's not athleticism, isn't how he wins on the field. It's what he does beyond that. So yeah, I really like David Bell. Quite like the situation. Just a little bit shame about the draft capital. And then going on to the 207, Isaiah Spiller, just another guy that I quite liked, and I seem to like him even more now. Even now that people are fading him, I seem to be getting more onto him. If you follow me on Twitter, I put a Twitter thread out about him that I felt like he was going a little bit late, seeing him going late second. But this is probably more where I'd have him mid second, maybe even pushing a little bit earlier than this, landing with the LA Chargers. I feel like he's going to be that 1B to Austin Eckler, that being the 1A over there as a pass catcher. I feel like Spurs are going to see a lot of work in the running game. Another round 4 running back, Kev, that I might be falling for, but I just think that the landing spot's really interesting. I feel like that this is a position they've been looking to address for years now, and I feel like they could have potentially found it with Isaiah Spiller, so I like him here at 207.
I've got to admit, Matt, you did a thread on him. It was a great thread to read. It got me considering moving him. I didn't move him, but it was a good read, and I do recommend the listeners, the viewers, to check out that thread. It gives you all the positive side of Spiller. Yeah, just again, day 3 draft capital. I think he's probably more talented than Kelly and the other dudes that have been there in the past that have had a chance. Kalen Balazs, but yeah, I was pretty low on him before. He didn't really move too much for me. I think I've kept him level where a lot of people have dropped him. So I'm probably not going to have much of him, but I can see that he has got a higher ceiling than a lot of the running backs potentially in this draft class, actually. Another guy with a pretty decent ceiling is our 208, John Metch. He went to the Texans a little bit earlier than I thought. He definitely jumped based on draft capital in my model. Again, he's in a range with guys like David Bell, with a couple of guys below him where I will have some exposure. Do I think he's going to be an alpha? Probably not, but could he be better than Nico Collins? Probably so.
Yeah, this is the guy that I wasn't particularly high on before the draft, but like you said, that draft capital and then landing with the Texans as well, potential for further production. I believe is coming off that ACL injury, is it?
Yeah.
So it might be a slow start for him, but the opportunity is definitely there for him to step into a role with the Texans. Davis Mill looked pretty good last year, so if he can carry that on in next season, then yeah, Metchie could be a great pick here at 208, and yeah, there's definitely upside there with him, and like we said, like the draft capital that he got. Then moving on to the 209, this is the guy that I really like, Trey McBride, the tight end. Obviously going to the Cardinals round 2. In terms of landing spot, I mean, this would have been perfect if it wasn't for Zach Ertz signing that 3-year deal just before the NFL draft, and that's
doing it again.
I know it's happening all over again, Kevin. Another young tight end that I like, and Zach Ertz is getting in the way. But in terms of talent, Trey McBride's easily the tight end one in this class for me. And even if going back to last year, it'd be right up there with guys like Pat Frymouth for me. So really like him and the production that he had over at Colorado. Just hoping he can see the field early. While Zach Ertz has been a solid tight end, he's getting up there in age. So hopefully Trey McBride can get on the field, and really excited about the landing spot.
Yeah, Trey McBride, he's a really good prospect. I've got him right neck and neck in my model with TJ Hawkinson, and that's factoring in draft capital, the fact that Hawkinson was an early first and McBride was day 2. So really good prospect. I think at this point, 209, it's an absolute fine price to pay for him. I'd be very happy going after him in rebuilds, especially. Or tight end premium, he's going to obviously go earlier, but he's out of the tight ends, he's definitely one I want to get a piece of. 210, we've got Alec Pierce, wide receiver that was drafted by the Colts. I'm a little bit unsure of his role in this offense. I think he is a sort of an ex-receiver, and they've already got Michael Pittman, so I'm not really sure where he fits if they're going to go big dudes outside, like I mentioned before, the Cardinals. But an interesting room where he's landed. I like the draft capital as well, so he's someone to get in some leagues at least. I'm not going to avoid him. I think he's definitely worth rostering. Yeah,
I think we're on the same lines, to be honest, Kevin. Like exactly like you said, this is a guy that didn't mind too much coming into the NFL draft, but the fact that he lands with a solid draft capital, it's going to be interesting to see what his role is in this offense. But getting that round 2 draft capital, it's definitely interesting, and somebody that I'm happy to take a shot on if I can get him at late second. But I've seen him go earlier, especially if you're in a league with Ali. Ali's probably taking him right at the top of the second round. So I bet he's gutted that he's missing this show because he could talk a little bit about Pierce. But yeah, definitely a guy that I'm happy to take at some point, but not going to reach for him. And then going on to the 211, Tyler Algier. It's another guy that Ali really liked, landing with the Falcons. I think that the key thing here is potential opportunity for him. We know that the Falcons, they've just cut Mike Davis as well, so there's definitely a clear path for him to potentially be even the starter as early as week 1. Personally, I wasn't super impressed with him going into the draft. He is a big dude, and he's got that solid speed as well, but he's just somebody that I wasn't super interested in. And now I feel like the landing spot's kind of forcing his ADP up even more. So personally, he's somebody that I don't think I've got a single share of yet, and I doubt it's going to happen because the hype's going to keep growing.
Yeah, he's a little bit like Damian Pierce, I think, in the sense that day 3 guy, 2-down guy, potentially a bad team that's in a rebuild. The upside's pretty limited. I think it's a lot of players wanted like a power running back on this team, so he fits from that respect. When we had Garrett on, I mentioned Zuma White, which got the seal of approval from him for that. But he's a big dude. He's going to be a 2-down guy. I can't see him being talented enough to nail that down long term. Obviously, he's a big dude. Going to our next guy, 212, which is Wandale Robinson. He's not a big dude at all. He's very small. Rondale. If your first name ends in Dale, you're potentially a small dude. So I actually don't mind him landing with the Giants. I think it's a wide open wide receiver room. It's a new regime, so to spend early draft capital on him, I think it's a good sign for him. It's a bad sign for Tony. But I like Wandale Robinson. I'm probably above consensus on him. I've probably got like a mid-second grade on him or draft on him. I'm not a scout.
Yeah, to be honest, I was shocked when my Giants picked Robinson where they did, but I think I'm coming around onto him a little bit. It's going to be interesting how it works out with Tony there. These guys that you'd say are pretty similar in terms of they're both being used in like the running game as well as the receiving game in college. So it's going to be interesting to see how that does play out. Maybe we move Tony on and then Robinson takes up that role that we expected for Tony, or maybe they both work together and it's just going to be some crazy kind of schemes being developed for these guys. But I'm slowly coming around to him, and I think at this point, late second to get a guy that's got that round 2 draft capital, I'm happy to grab him here in the end of the second, early third round. And with that, moving on to the third round, 301, Matt Corral, the QB for the Panthers. Again, another shot that a quarterback fell this low in the NFL draft, but again, the situation could be really interesting. Going to the Panthers, competing with Sam Darnold for that starting position. I mean, Sam Darnold he's struggling. I keep wanting to give him chances, but I feel like he's come to the end of his chances, and now I feel like he's in a real QB battle with Matt Corral, potentially as early as week 1. If Corral really impresses during training camps and preseason, then I wouldn't be shocked at all to see the Panthers take a chance, see what they've got in this quarterback in Matt Corral. This is a guy that I know you quite like, did you, Kev, before the NFL draft? So opportunities there, and getting a quarterback into flex start of the third round, you're in that dart throw territory anyway, so why not take a shot at quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely fine place. Take him 301. The fact that he's definitely going to make stats this year, I think. I can't see Darnold holding off Corral. The fact that as well last year they let PJ Walker have a go, they let Cam Newton have a go.
Yep.
The Eastern coaching staff is willing to let the guys have a go. So they'll probably want to see what Corral's got year 1 to then help decide what they do next year at QB. 301, really, really good spot to take him. He's got a lot of upside. He's a bit raw, but can he be worse than Sam Darnold? No. 302, we've got Zuma White, the running back who was drafted by the Raiders. Quite interesting, the fact that Josh Jacobs, I think, is in the last year of his deal. So there's a bit of intrigue there as to what could happen. Again, though, day 3 running back on a team. They're not a bad team, but they're in a tough division, so I can't see them sort of, I don't know, just really, really like licking teams, destroying teams. It's not going to happen. So, I'm sort of indifferent on Zuma White. I think Garrett Price made me bump him up a little bit, but day 3 maybe bump him down a little bit.
Yeah, this is a guy that I'm not overly excited about drafting, to be honest. Like we've talked about with these other running backs, a two down back, show very little in terms of receiving in college. So I feel like he's just going to be one of those. To me, he feels like just one of those goal line backs. He's obviously a big dude. I just feel like he's going to be that goal line back throughout his career. I can't see him taking the job. And if they do let Josh Jacobs leave next year, seeing as they've not taken up that 5th-year option, then I feel like he's easily replaceable. And potentially looking at that 2023 class as well, there could be some late running backs that are going to be far better than Zuma White. So personally, I'm not too keen. But again, it's one of those dart throws. If he gets that little bit of production next year, you can move him on for maybe a 2nd-round pick. So don't hate it, but I'm not rushing to get him, to be honest. And then 303, it's the same. Brian Robinson, the running back for the Commanders. Got that really solid draft capital, getting day 2 draft capital, which was a shock to me. The fact that they've got Antonio Gibson. Yeah. You start to think is the alarm bells now with Antonio Gibson, but I mean, Brian Robinson, it took him years to even have any kind of relevance here in that backfield at Alabama. So you do have to question that. A guy that I'm not really reaching for or trying to grab him in my rookie drafts. Maybe if I got Antonio Gibson, you get him as a handcuff. But personally, I'm not too worried. I still feel like Gibson's going to be the lead back there. I know they've spoke about this being maybe a committee, and obviously with JD McKissick there as well, it could be a bit of a disaster. But I still believe in my Antonio Gibson's talent, and Brian Robinson not really somebody that I'm targeting.
Yeah, I see him as a 2-down handcuff. I think he might get a few touchdowns here and there. He might be a slightly better version of Peyton Barber on that team. Not someone I'm massively impressed with or will be going after, but if he's there at a certain spot, maybe later than this, maybe mid to late 3rd, I'll take a stab just based on draft capital itself. 304, we're going to stay in the NFC East. Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver, went to the Cowboys. Really like the landing spot, to be honest, which sucked with it being the Cowboys. Wide receiver 3 on that offense. We saw Cedric Wilson shone last season at parts, especially in the offseason. Got 10 targets versus the 49ers. So he's an interesting guy. I think he should be going before 304. I know you're a big fan as well, Matt.
Yeah, I really liked him before the NFL draft, and like I said, that landing spot with the Cowboys, it now becomes really interesting with Michael Gallup potentially not being available at the start of this season, and Amari Cooper moving as well. He could easily find himself being that wide receiver 2 as early as week 1 to start this upcoming season. So I really like the talent, really like the landing spot. I'd definitely take him before this in terms of ADP. I'm taking him late 2nd, even around that like Alec Pierce kind of range where I've got him in ADP. I'm happy to take Jalen Tolbert around there, and looking forward to see what he can do in his rookie season. And then going on to the 305, Tyron Davis Price, landing with the 49ers. Again, this is another really interesting landing spot, getting that day 2 draft capital as well. I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out with Elijah Mitchell there, a guy that was that waiver wire hero, really. If you scooped him up after your rookie drafts, I know I picked him up even after my rookie drafts and got him off waivers. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. This is a completely different style in terms of his size, much bigger running back. Maybe he's just trying to make amends for that terrible selection in Sermon, hopefully getting a back here that can do what they wanted to do with Sermon. So a guy that I'm, out of these running backs that we spoke about in this range, he's the one that I'd be targeting round 3 if you can get him at the start of the 3rd round. Really like the landing spot, solid draft capital, and who knows, we love that 49ers backfield for fantasy. So if you can get some starts, he's gonna reward you.
Yeah, Trey Sermon's going late 1st, early 2nd, and this dude's going mid 3rd. It doesn't really make sense, but
no.
Interesting team. The recycle of running backs, so this spot's absolutely fine for him. 306, we've got Sam Howell, QB of the Commanders. I don't see it personally. People saying, if Wentz fails again, then he'll be the next guy in. They've got Taylor Heineke on their roster still, so that's actually not true. So it's a wasted pick for me, Sam Howell.
Yeah, liked him pre-draft, but as you say, I'm completely gone on him now. To be honest, Kev, you talked about Heineke. Cole Kelly's over there with the Commanders. I mean, if you're looking for a quarterback, that's the one I'm targeting. Sam Howell, can't see it now. The fact that he went so late in the NFL draft, you feel like there's really no chance for him, which is a shock given how highly regarded he was just a couple of years ago. But can't see it myself personally. Then going on to the 307, Khalil Shakir, landing with the Buffalo Bills, is a really interesting one. Prototypically that slot wide receiver, so maybe it could be that Cole Beasley replacement. Obviously, I know Jamison Crowder's over there, but this feels like maybe the heir apparent going to move into to become that slot wide receiver at some point soon. Really liked him as a prospect, so really interested about this landing spot. Happy to take a shot on him here in the mid third.
Yeah, tied to Josh Allen, it's a good place to be. I think it was day 3, wasn't it? Shakir. Yep. So I'm probably not super excited about day 3 wide receiver at this spot. Actually, the next guy I'm more intrigued about, I think he's going a little bit too low, which is 308 Tyquan Thornton, cracking surname in that. But
yeah, definitely.
He's a wide receiver drafted by the Patriots. He went way earlier than a lot of people thought, but actually his draft profile is not as terrible as people think. He's not just a speed, so he has got a little bit more, but I think it's that history of wide receivers for the Patriots that's going to be scaring people off.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably something that Mac Jones is looking for, a guy with that speed. Potentially it could work out, could be one of maybe those boom bust kind of wide receivers. Obviously, we know they brought Devontae Parker over there, but in terms of draft capital, interesting landing spot, could be seeing work early. So yeah, getting him at this mid third, pushing on to late third, definitely think is worth a shot. And then going on to the 309, moving to tight end position, Gelani Woods going to the Colts. Definitely another interesting landing spot. We've spoke for years about wanting a tight end at the Colts. The fact that Woods lands there now becomes interesting. Molly Cox has re-signed, so definitely potential for competition there. But really liking big athletic tight end. It's what we crave in fantasy. Those guys that can make up the points after the catch, and that's what Gelani Woods can do. So really interesting landing spot, and happy to take a shot on him late third.
Yeah, I really love Gelani Woods. I think getting him a full round after Trey McBride's probably fair. I think late third, mid third is a great spot for him. Like you mentioned, big fast dude. Everybody loves the Colts tight end landing spots, just based on Frank Reich and the history there. So yeah, I think he's more talented than Granson and Mo Cox. So yeah, very happy to go after him. And then 310, it's someone I'm not very happy to go after, to be honest. Justin Ross, wide receiver. Signed by the Chiefs, undrafted wide receiver going in round 3 of rookie drafts. That's fool's gold for me. The fact that why is he going there? If he went to, I don't know, the Jags, he would not be going at the 310. So people are pumping up based on the Chiefs and Mahomes. But let's look through it all. He's undrafted. He's slow as a slug. He did have some really great early production in college on a great team with Trevor Lawrence and T. Higgins, but he got undrafted for a reason. It's not just the medicals. There's got to be something else. Nobody took a shot even on him in round 7, and this is a really weak class. So I'm just going to follow draft capital and avoid the fool's gold.
I think you said it all, Kev. To be honest, I'm right there with you. Undrafted wide receivers, hard enough to hit with as it is, but then a guy that's obviously struggled with a really serious neck injury as well. It's just landing spotting. Everyone's getting far too excited about the Chiefs landing spot. I wouldn't touch him anywhere near this point, to be honest. Wouldn't even touch him. Probably round 5 is where I'd maybe take a shot on him, and even then I wouldn't feel like excited by it. There's a chance, but no, personally I can't see it myself, and he's been far too overdrafted based on landing spot. So we better quickly move on before we get too irate about it. But the 311 Greg Dulcich tight end for the Denver Broncos. We know that Albert O's there at tight end. That's a guy that everyone's getting super excited about this offseason. They brought in another tight end, a tight end that I really liked. A little bit like Gelani Woods, another athletic tight end that can produce after the catch, which is obviously great in terms of fantasy. Going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It might be one of those where you maybe got to wait and see what happens. But I mean, he's got a higher draft capital than Albert O, so who knows? Maybe he gets a shot a little bit earlier than we're expecting.
Yeah, this is an Albert O passion clinic, this one. Them breaks have firmly been put on Albert O. Do I think Dulcich is a better prospect? No, but it's a draft capital. It's the new regime. It's got to get you thinking about what is the role for him? What will he be playing earlier than expected? 311. I'll probably just swerve it and look for Gelani Woods or move on to it. Well, just avoid tight end because it's an horrible position anyway. Moving on to 312, we've got Kyron Williams, running back drafted by the Rams. Again, he's someone I was low on before, so I didn't really move him up or down post-draft. I think there might be opportunity there. Obviously, Darrell Henderson, he's soft as like wet tissue, something like that. But there's potential for him there. I think he'll get by on name value, name recognition, landing spot with the Rams. Everybody's hype machine last offseason was Xavier Jones, Jake Funk, them sort of guys. So, he'll have value, but again, 312, depending on the board, I might get a few bits, but probably not.
Yeah, a guy that I liked and then I didn't like after obviously the combine and the struggles in terms of his 40-yard dash. Lands with the Rams, potential opportunity there to be maybe that pass catching running back, but again, not a guy I'm super reaching for. Cam Akers there, Darrell Henderson's there. Both of those guys I prefer over Kyron Williams. So maybe worth a dart throw, but I'm not holding any hopes on Kyron Williams producing too much, to be honest. Then moving on to round 4, starting again 401 running back Pierre Strong landing with the Patriots. I mean, Patriots, I don't know what they've got in mind, but they have got a lot of running backs over there. Bill Belichick again, just trying to absolutely destroy us fantasy players and confuse the hell out of us. But a really interesting one. This is a guy that pretty good size, ran a really solid 40 time as well, so he's got the athleticism. Maybe something that you say the other running backs that they had, maybe they don't have. So definitely some interest there. It's just as I say, it's such a crowded backfield. Who knows how it's going to play out? Was the first running back that they selected this season just gone, so it's going to be a wait and see. I think Damian Harris becomes a free agent, I believe, after this season. So maybe looking forward to 2023, maybe there's a role for him there. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a headache if you're thinking that you can start Pierre Strong.
Yeah, love the talent, dislike the draft capital, dislike the landing spot. I'm going to have some Pierre Strong because I've got him ranked pretty high compared to consensus. But yeah, it could have been a lot better in my eyes. 402, Calvin Austin. It's going to be very similar. I think he's really talented. I'm not a big fan of the draft capital. I'm not a big fan of landing spot. But people say, the Steelers, they make wide receivers legends. But they've had some misses as well. Sammy Coates, I think James Washington wasn't amazing either. So I'd be hoping Calvin Austin becomes the next Deontay Johnson because he's a free agent, but that's me being a little bit biased.
Yeah, I'm just worried, like you said, Kev, with the landing spot, there's a lot of competition for target there. George Pickens as well, obviously selected earlier in the NFL draft. I just worry that he's not going to see that opportunity maybe until next season, and even then, who knows with the Steelers and how they like to select wide receivers. So, yeah, not a guy that I'm really targeting, to be honest, in my rookie draft. And then moving on to the 403, Velus Jones signing with the Chicago Bears. Really interesting that he got that such solid draft capital day 2, I believe. But then the fact that how old is he? He's about 40 years old. He's definitely getting on a bit for a rookie. I believe he played with Juju Smith-Schuster in college, and I mean Juju's been in the league 5 years where there is. So a bit of a shocker really, but who knows? There's opportunity there. Darnell Mooney is really the only guy that you could highlight in terms of being a fantasy contributor. So potential to be that wide receiver too there now that Allen Robinson's gone. So yeah, maybe some slight interest in terms of opportunity, but he's got to break out quick, so he ain't got many years in him.
God, no, he's got more grey hairs than me. He's not a great prospect. Draft capital, he didn't push him that far up my boards, to be honest. I think I'll just avoid at the 403. 404, Hassan Askins, running back for the Titans. And he's probably not someone I'm that keen on. 2-down guy, playing behind an absolute legend in Derrick Henry. We saw the success he had with various different running backs when Henry went down, so I can't see him nailing down a spot based on his draft capital. We saw him release a guy like Darrington Evans, who had better draft capital as well. So I really struggle to think how he can hit and how he can stick around. When Henry's gone, I think they might change the philosophy or definitely draft someone that can be a star.
Yeah, maybe I've got a bit of bias again here, but there's another running back on this backfield that I like, another undrafted free agent, Julius Chestnut. He's the running back that I'm targeting in Tennessee. If I'm taking an ankle fab, to be honest, I prefer him. I think he's a lot better running back than Haskins personally. So yeah, not a guy that I've targeted at all in my rookie drafts. Definitely opportunity there if anything were to happen to Derrick Henry, but like I said, I've got my eye on another guy in that backfield, so my bias is coming in. I'm not taking him in my rookie drafts. Moving on to the 405, Romeo Dubs.
Dubs.
And
they're getting back together.
Making a comeback, yeah. Really interesting landing spot, landing with the Packers. We know that there's not really many wide receivers there of note, so potential that he could force his way into some kind of relevance. But like we spoke about with Watson as well, signing with the Packers, if he doesn't hit Haley with Aaron Rodgers, you feel like he's not going to get many looks, because we know what Rodgers is like with these rookie wide receivers. But at this point, mid-4th round and the potential catching passes from one of the best quarterbacks in the league, probably worth a shot, I think, in the mid-4th.
Yeah, I think it's fair based on anybody that's got Watson doubts. He's a nice arbitrage play at this cost. 4th round, it's worth a risk. It's definitely better value than John Ross, or was it Justin Ross? I can't remember. But yeah, the next guy, 406, he's definitely not a John Ross. It's a guy we both love, Tyler Beatty, running back Ravens, 406. Actually, the next couple of picks are all really good picks in my eyes. People moan about the landing spot, but 2 guys in front of him, Dobbins and Edwards, who are coming off injuries. He got comped to Ray Rice on a Dicey Nerds show, which Ray Rice, obviously Ravens, that team, they know how to use these smaller guys that are actually more of a free down potential than you think. So I actually really like the landing spot. I'll get a lot of Beatty, apart from leagues I'm in with you, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it's the guy that I really liked as well. I've seen people saying that, well, what about like Justice Hill when they picked him? To me, it's a completely different kind of prospect. I really like Beatty, a guy that showed up for me when I was looking at Roundtree last year when he was coming out. So yeah, I really like it. The situation looks pretty good, to be honest. The team that's going to run the ball a lot. So yeah, happy to take him. Another shot at a running back mid-4th. I think you're just loading up on these running backs and hoping one hits. And Beatty's definitely a guy that I think could hit. And the 407, similar. Jerome Ford landing with the Cleveland Browns is the guy that I was really high on. I think I had him RB4 before the NFL draft. So really, really excited by his talent. He lands with the Browns. Obviously, we know they've got Nick Chubb there, Kareem Hunt. But who knows? I mean, Kareem Hunt, there's every chance that they could move on from Kareem Hunt, trade him, cut him, whatever, if Jerome Ford performs. And then he's got a shot at potentially in that RB2 role, a role that we know can have fantasy relevance. And then if anything were to happen to Nick Chubb, yeah, I'm going to get super excited by that. So again, another dart throw in the mid-4th, taking a running back, Jerome Ford, love the talent, and could potentially get you some reward at that price point.
Yeah, it's worth a stab in it at this point. I think there's a few obstacles in front of him. Dennis Johnson's there as well, but like you mentioned, Hunt's probably gone either now or in season. I think you're playing a longer game. You're going to have to get a bit of luck, but he's the sort of guy I'd want to go for, someone that's a good prospect that's maybe seen as an unfavourable landing spot, but actually it's not that bad. They're a team that likes to run the ball, they're run-heavy teams, and he fits that profile, fits that offense really well. It's a cracking offensive line, so if he does get a chance, I think he'll shine. A little bit like this next guy, 408, Keontae Ingram, running back of the Cardinals. Love the opportunity, love the fact he landed with the Cardinals. He's got to beat out Eno Benjamin, who I dropped Cam Newton for Eno Benjamin last year. It was horrible. Then Cam Newton face planted, so it was great. But Eno Benjamin is a terrible prospect. I think he'll beat out. Ingram will beat him out, and he's someone that I'd be happy getting involved with.
Yeah, didn't really like him as a prospect, to be honest, but that situation could be really interesting. We know James Conner struggled with injuries throughout his career, so if he were to go down, there's definitely a chance that Ingram could become the starter, and then you're going to get a return on investment pretty quick if that were to happen. So yeah, like him as a handcuff and potential to get a bit of reward at this mid to late 4th round in your rookie drafts. And then this guy, 409, I don't get this at all. Carson Strong, quarterback for the Eagles, went undrafted. I mean, it must be just purely the landing spot and people not being too sure about Jalen Hurts. But I mean, Carson Strong, this is like a poor man's Mac Jones. And to be honest, don't really like Mac Jones in terms of fantasy. So just don't get this at all. It offers very little fantasy relevance, even if he does become the starter. I mean, he's not a quarterback you're going to get excited about. Can't understand at all why he's going at this range. I wouldn't even touch him even off waivers, to be honest, in Superflex leagues.
Yeah, he's a traffic cone. I wouldn't have him on my taxi squad. I don't know why he's got this ADP. He's terrible. But some people had him QB1 before the draft process, which shows what they know. 410, Jeremy Rucker, tight end for the Jets. I'm actually going to pat myself on the back on this one. I predicted he'd go earlier than we expected based on all the weapons at Ohio State. He's landed in a really bad spot though with the Jets. The fact that they've got just signed Zuma, they've just signed who's the guy? Tyler Gronklin, I think it is. Gronklin. Yeah, I don't know how he's going to be used. One of them three is going to be used as a H-back, full-back type guy. It might be him, it might not. So, yeah, I'm avoiding tight end at this spot. Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, I'm saying, to be honest, tight ends, we know that they take time to develop anyway, but the fact that he's in such a crowded tight end room as well with the Jets, to be honest, not really a tight end I'm looking at it. Well, any tight end, to be honest, at this spot. Not really that interested in him. And then going on to the 4'11", Isaiah Pacheco, running back for the Chiefs. This is a guy that I think nobody really thought too much of him until the NFL Combine. That's when he really started to jump up people's boards. People get excited. Went undrafted, I believe, today, or was it late day 3? Yeah. Either way, landing with the Chiefs. I mean, they've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, brought in Ronald Jones as well. I just don't see it myself, to be honest. It could maybe be another fact that everyone's getting excited by the landing spot, but not too excited. Again, it's another dart throw, maybe at a running back, but not somebody I'm actively going out to acquire.
Yeah, Chiefs. That's the reason he's getting picked here, I think. I won't be having him. There's another guy as well that's on the Chiefs that we'll be discussing in a little bit, but I won't be having either of them, really. I just think, obviously, Ronald Jones is amazing, so it's his backfield. Jokes. So 4-12, we've got Danny Gray, wide receiver, drafted by the 49ers. Danny Gray sounds like a non-league footballer, a non-league striker that bags a few, but yeah, I think he got really good draft capital, and people are going to get excited about that. Personally, I'm not that excited. I just think that's an offense that's moving towards Trey Lance. They're going to be run heavy. I like Ayuk, I like Debo. Trent Sherfield, low, but yeah, Danny Gray, he can stay in non-league for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm the same, Kev. Not somebody I'm getting super excited about. Maybe it's just because people think that Debo, obviously, we don't know yet if he's staying with the 49ers. I feel like there could potentially be some opportunity for him there. But like you said, Trey Lance, I feel like this offense is shifting to being super run heavy. Yeah, to be honest, not somebody I'm super excited about. A wide receiver again at this point. The hit rate's pretty low as it is. So, yeah, not somebody I'm personally going for in my rookie drafts. Moving on to round 5, the 501. This is a guy that I really liked, Isaiah Likely, tight end, landing with the Ravens. I mean, the landing spot, while it doesn't look great, to be honest, sitting behind Mark Andrews, and obviously selected another tight end as well just before him in Collar. I just worry that he's not going to get that opportunity, but this is a guy that's athletic. He produced, obviously, a bit of a smaller school at Coastal Carolina, so yeah, there's a lot of question marks again. Tight end, you've got to wait for that production. So, I mean, if you've got a taxi spot, if you're maybe tight end premium, yeah, he's worth taking a shot on, I think, just for the potential upside, the fact that he's so athletic. But you're going to have to wait. And with Mark Andrews there, while they do potentially use 2 tight ends quite often, I just worry that he's not going to get that opportunity early.
Yeah, I agree with you. Taxi spot's a great shout. I think he ran really slower than I thought. If he'd run quick, it might have been as high as tight end 2 near Gelani Woods. So, yeah, I'd be happy for giving him a taxi spot in a certain number of leagues. But, yeah, don't be wasting a roster spot on a tight end for anybody taken in these rounds. It'd be absolutely criminal to do that and wait for 3 years. You're just going to end up dropping them. So, I think anybody outside of the top couple, just be smart of it. Next guy, 502, Kevin Harris, running back to the Patriots again. He's going to be fighting Pierre Strong for some sort of pass catching role. Prospect wise, decent, but if I was picking out of these guys, I prefer Pierre Strong just based on the slightly better draft capital and better talent.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm the same. I was struggling with Pierre Strong, so the fact that we've got a guy that's probably blow him again in the Jets start selected 2 rounds after Strong, yeah, not really a guy that I'm super excited about. It feels like it's a dart throw that's not really going to reward you because it's going to take a lot of things for him to even get a start. So I feel like you're not going to get any kind of value out of him, and yeah, just not a guy, to be honest, that I've been targeting. Going on to the 503, K-Dot and tight end for the Bucs. This could potentially be interesting. Obviously, we don't know what Gronk's doing, if he's going to return to the Bucs. If not, this is a guy that could be competing straight away to being the starter. So, opportunity potentially there. Solid draft capital as well. So, yeah, I think, again, taxi squad, tight end premium, definitely looking at him, but normal fantasy leagues probably not too excited by him.
Yeah, you've nailed it. 503 with Otton. He's a taxi squad guy. After this year, could potentially fighting, or maybe even this year, could be fighting Cameron Brate for a starting tight end job. So, you're definitely excited about that. He's someone I'm actively targeting in all my leagues at this spot. I think he's a great guy to stash away, and just if it comes to a year's time and Gronk's there or they've added someone else, you've wasted a taxi spot. It's nothing major, but just keep him off your roster, your active roster this year. Another guy who should be off your active roster this year is our 504, Bailey Zappi, QB for the Patriots. He was a day 3 guy. He's not going to beat out Mac Jones, so why bother wasting a roster spot?
Yep. Nailed it, Kev. I think if you've got tax spots in Superflex, maybe take a chance. I'd rather take him over Strong, put it that way, but only if I've got a decent taxi squad size, then worth stashing. But otherwise, not too interested to behind Mac Jones. Moving on to the 505, another guy that I'm not interested in, Jalen Wiedemayer, landing with the Bills, undrafted free agent. I mean, I'm struggling to take a tight end that's got round 3, round 4 draft capital. So a guy that went undrafted, sitting behind Dawson Knox, it's a no from me. I think it's just people clinging on to the fact that I think a lot of us had him quite high, to be honest, in his rankings. Obviously, struggled at the combine, that moved him down, and then the fact he went undrafted, not going to have any shares of him, to be honest.
Yeah, even the Bills landing spot's not enough to give me any excitement at all. I was low on him once I saw what he ran. When he ran he ran as fast as me, I think. I'll be avoiding him in all leagues, probably for his lifetime, actually. So, lucky Jalen. 506, Kennedy Brooks, running back, signed undrafted free agent, actually signed by the Eagles. I think a lot of people are getting excited because he actually got quite a large amount of money. He got paid like a 5th rounder. But that doesn't really mean anything because Kenny Bowe got the most money last year. And where is he now? I think he's in a N-Dubs tribute band or something. But Kennedy Brooks, I actually like the Eagles' backfield, the fact that it's wide open. But undrafted running back. I'll probably take him on waivers, but 5th round, there's probably slightly better darts for him.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a guy I've been taking dart throws on, but like you said, off waivers rather than taking him in my rookie draft. I feel like there's still maybe some other guys that I'd take over him. And the fact they went undrafted, obviously a red flag, but like you said, gets that solid guaranteed money, landing with the Eagles, potential opportunity there. Obviously, if anything happened to Miles Sanders, could carve out a role over there. So a guy that I'm taking dart throws on, but not expecting too much as a undrafted free agent. Moving on to the 507, Snoop Connor, running back for the Jags. And to be honest, this is a kind of interesting one. I think landing with the Jags, ETN, a guy that everyone's getting, I think, excited about now. Kev, you were high on him last year, and I'm definitely coming around to him this year as well. But coming off that injury, James Robinson, obviously, picking up that tough injury as well at the end of last year, going to miss time probably at the start of this year. So there's chance that Connor could see opportunity early as maybe being that 2-down running back, getting some runs in, spelling Travis Etienne. So landing spot's really interesting, getting decent draft capital as well. So we just spoke about Kennedy Brooks. This is a guy I'd rather take over him, to be honest. Got a bit of draft capital to him, potential situation where he can get early production as well. Quite like taking him in the mid-5th.
Yeah, and we've seen one as well with Doug Peterson when he was at the Eagles. He used multiple running backs. So, it does give me a little bit of pause with ETN, the fact that I'm all in on him. But, there's worse dart throws than Snoop Connor at 507. He's definitely a guy you should be looking at and definitely getting some exposure to him. 508 is a guy you're probably not looking to get exposure based on what we said about Isaiah Pacheco, Jerry Neely, 508 to the Chiefs running back. Undrafted guy, I believe he was. Chiefs, that's probably why he's getting drafted in your rookie drafts. But one I'll be avoiding and taking guys. There's a couple of guys actually. Well, maybe one guy that I would take over him that's coming up soon.
To be honest, didn't really like him entering the NFL draft, going undrafted, going to the Chiefs. I mean, not excited by the landing spot, to be honest. So definitely not a guy that I'm targeting in my rookie draft. Moving on to the 509, sort of a night landing with the Jets. Don't get this one either, to be honest, Kev. I mean, they've got Breece Hall, they've even got Michael Carter, so
legend.
No, just don't see this one myself personally. It's going to take 2 injuries, maybe 3 injuries. He might even make the roster, to be honest. So this is not a running back. If I'm taking a dart throw, he's not one of the guys that's on my list, to be honest.
Yeah, probably needs the apocalypse to get a shot at the starting job, I think. Absolutely no chance. So, a wasted pick. 5'10". I think this is a waste of pick as well. Maybe you not, but Cynthia Mccormick, running back to the Raiders, he was undrafted. He actually didn't get signed for quite a few days after. I thought he'd retired, but got signed with the Raiders. Actually, it's not terrible landing spot. There's pass catching roles beyond sort of Jacobs, Zuma White, but again, being undrafted, I'm not too sure of how that team's going to look. So I'll be letting you draft him.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'll be doing it, Kev. This is a running back. If I'm taking a dart throw, everyone knows I liked him pre-draft. Shame that he went undrafted, but landed with the Raiders. He could have gone to the Seahawks, but he's gone to the Raiders. I mean, if we're liking Zuma White, I don't know why we're not liking Cynthia McCormick. Had that production while it being a smaller school. We know he's had that production both phases of the game as well, running and receiving. So, I mean, if I'm taking a dart throw, to be honest, I'd rather take Cynthia McCormick probably off waivers or late fifth than I would Zuma White, to be honest. Going on to the 5'11", this is another interesting running back. Abram Smith landing with the Saints. Definite opportunity to be the running back to spell Alvin Kamara. And to be honest, we don't know what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara, obviously dealing with the legal issues as well. So really interesting that we spoke about guaranteed money for these undrafted free agents. It's another guy that got a big chunk of potentially is that round fifth kind of pay as in terms of what he's got as an undrafted free agent. The landing spot's really interesting. I think is worth taking a dart throw on, to be honest. Things can change before week one, but right now, opportunity is there.
Yeah, he's a guy that could get touches week one, so he absolutely needs to be smashed at 5'11" every time. 100% exposure, Philly boots, like literally. He had a really good prospect profile. I'm surprised he wasn't drafted, so maybe there's something there we don't know about, but 5'11", I'm absolutely filling my boots and filling my pants as well. 5'12", Kevin Austin. So he's a wide receiver that's gone to the Jags. Really impressive physical specimen, but again, wide receiver that's not day two draft capital. It's someone that I'll just take a running back here. Yeah.
Nailed it, Kev. I think we spoke about it a couple of times, haven't we? I mean, if I'm taking a dart throw, I'm taking a running back, not too interested by a wide receiver landing with the Jags. It's now become pretty a crowded wide receiver room over there in Jacksonville. So, yeah, to be honest, not somebody I'm targeting. I'd much rather target these running backs that we've mentioned.
But a great first name.
Brilliant.
So,
catch his breath.
let's have a breath. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the show where we've completed our rookie deep dive. We've gone through rounds 2 to 5. It's been rapid fire. If you've been listening on ×2, then apologies. Any quick thoughts on today's show, Matt?
I mean, there's definitely some interesting guys there, aren't there? There always is. Every year we find these sleepers that we call them, guys that we're getting excited by. And I think we spoke about it a couple of times. If you are taking these late round shots, target those running backs. They're the ones that can hit these wide receivers. It doesn't happen as often, and the rewards don't tend to be as great as with these running backs. We've mentioned quite a few running backs there that I really like, guys that I'd take in the 4th, 5th round that could potentially maybe even earn you some points in fantasy, and if not, we can at least move them on for maybe a 3rd rounder or whatever moving forward. So yeah, that's my strategy to these later guys.
I think you're bang on. Later guys, running backs are perfect. Sort of early round 3, you might get a creeping wide receiver in there like a Jalen Talbot who shouldn't be going there. Yep. Tight ends, there might be a couple that you want to put on your taxi squad, but maybe even McBride's not someone you can put on your roster year one. I don't think you can be really confident about him. QBs, yeah, it's dangerous. Past those first 5, what are you doing? And wide receivers, I think day 3 wide receivers have got such a poor track record. You're better off going running back and just throwing as many darts as you can, and making sure you're using your full taxi squads as well. Because I see some teams that don't use a taxi squad. You might as well, because it's free. It's a free chance at winning. Really, it's a free lottery ticket. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter @Fantasy Wildcard, and also leave us a 5-star podcast review if you've enjoyed tonight's show. It really helps with getting us to a wider audience and exposure to those audience as well. So there's no show next week because we are doing the charity streamathon, you may be aware. Saturday, 21st of May. As we mentioned before, please do donate if you can. Podcast-wise, we're actually back Tuesday the 31st of May, where we'll be discussing Dynasty Startup Strategy. We've got something very exciting lined up for that show. It's in the works. We'll leave it on that tease for you there. So thank you once again. Have a good one. Watch the streamathon.
Yep.
Make a donation, and we'll see you soon.
See you all on Saturday.